draconian. Joining us now for more on the Egyptian election is Sahar Aziz. She's an associate professor of Dallas at Texas A&M, of law rather, at Texas A&M University, and a specialist in Middle East law. She's live from Dallas in Texas. Thank you very much, Sahar, for being with us. First of all, you have two candidates running. Do you see this election as a credible democratic process?
Well, I think that a lot of Egyptians are going to let us know if they find it credible based on the voter turnout, because right now it's very risky to explicitly state that you believe this is not a credible election if you live in Egypt, because you could end up in jail, you could end up tortured or disappeared in a police camp. So the only safe way to express your perspective or your opposition is to not turn out to vote. So we will find out whether this is in fact credible or legitimate in the eyes of Egyptians based on the voter turnout.
It will be indeed interesting to see what the turnout is. Now, Abdel Fattah El-Sisi, who incidentally didn't make a single public appearance during the campaign, is expected to have a comfortable win. This is expected to be a formality for him. We know that from past experience in Egypt, military rule hasn't been a success for the country. So why are Egyptians, you think, prepared to bring back the military to power today?
Well, there seems to be two Egypts right now. There is a portion of society that wants to pretend that the last 3 years never happened. And it's as if they're simply electing the successor to Mubarak, someone who's a strong man from the military and who will keep the status quo. And then you have a different part of the Egyptian population which does take the last 3 years seriously and is looking at these elections as a fraud, either because they believe that Morsi was the legitimate president or because they're concerned more with the process and the fact that this is the 7th election in which Egyptians have come out to vote, and each one in the past has been overturned by unelected officials. So you have the parliament that was dissolved by the Supreme Court. You have the presidential election of Morsi that was, obviously, he was deposed by a military-led coup. And you also had a constitution that was passed that has now been abrogated. So a lot of Egyptians are wondering, what's the point in voting if every time the outcome is overturned by unelected officials?
I want to talk about Hamdine Sabahi, because we keep talking about Sisi, but Hamdine Sabahi is, of course, the other candidate in this election. He came in third in 2012, 2 years ago. What does he get? What does he hope to get out of this particular vote?
Well, he seems to be quite idealistic in thinking that at the very least he can create a culture of campaigning and a culture of allowing people to participate in the election process. And I think in the long run that has some positive effects for Egypt, but in the short run it's clear that this may be no more than just a fig leaf to legitimize the elections.
Right. Just one last question, Sahar. In your view, do you think this election, this vote, will have a positive impact on Egypt's economy, Egypt's security? Will it bring back stability to the country after the turmoil of the last 3 years? Or on the contrary, will it, are we going to continue seeing turmoil in Egypt?
Well, if Sisi decides to be true to his commitment to transition the country to a democratic process, notwithstanding the means in which this election has gone about, then there might be some hope for stability. But I don't think that you can have long-term political stability, which is required for economic development, if you oppress dissent, if you put activists like Muhyiddin Al-Masri and Ahmed Douma and Ahmed Meher and all of these youth revolutionaries, in addition to the pro-Morsi supporters, in jail, and that's the way that you deal with criticism. I don't think that's a recipe for stability for Egypt. But at this point, everything is speculative, and we shall see. One can only hope for the best for the nation.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Sahar, for speaking to us. That's Sahar Aziz, Associate Professor of Law at Texas A&M University in Dallas there. Thanks for your time. A court in Turkey